Hey everyone, welcome back to another Minecraft video. I hope that everybody is doing absolutely fantastic today. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to build a lossless, super efficient kelp farm for whatever world that you guys need. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of the materials that you will need in order to build this farm, and let's build it together. So make sure that you guys grab a notepad and maybe a pen and take notes along the way. Let's get started. And now that you've gathered all of your resources, let's go ahead and start building. So the first thing that we're going to need is our smooth stone, and we're going to do it by 15. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Then we're going to go ahead and put pistons on the top of each of those pieces of smooth stone. And then we're going to go ahead and skip 3 spots, so 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to go ahead and do another row of 15. And then we're going to go ahead and put pistons on the top of those facing inward. And then once you've completed that, we're going to go ahead and basically do the exact same thing, but we're going to skip 1 and then skip another 3, and then make sure that you just line this with the smooth stone or whatever building block that you guys are currently using. And then go ahead and put the pistons on top of each of those, and then go ahead and finish up the other side real quickly. And this is what your farm should look like so far. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab our soul sand, and you're going to break the middle blocks on each section of the 3. Then just go ahead and replace all of that. That's going to help force our kelp to get to the top of the farm so that we can go ahead and collect it. Do the exact same thing on this side, and then just make sure that we go ahead and replace each of those. Now what we want to do here is go ahead and grab our smooth stone again, and we're also going to need our redstone dust, and we're going to put that on the back of each of the pistons, no matter where the pistons are at. Then line that with redstone dust all the way across. And we also need to do the middle row here also, and then make sure that we put the redstone dust on each one of those, and that's going to help trigger each of these pistons when the farm does fire. And then also with the last one right here as well. And then redstone dust on the top of each of those. Now you're going to want to extend this out by 2 for each of these. The first one is going to be a repeater on a 2-tick delay, so that would be a 2-tick or the second notch of a repeater. Then we're also going to extend this across, and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side as well. And then this is all going to just be redstone dust. So basically when anything fires in this entire farm, it's going to trigger the entire farm to go ahead and harvest all of the kelp at the exact same time. That way nothing is really left untouched. Now let's go ahead and fill this all in, and then redstone dust on the top of all of these. Now you're going to want to grab like glass or whatever other building block that you guys want to go ahead and use. I'm just going to use glass because I like to be able to see my farms. Typically I would build out of white stained glass. That is my favorite stained glass, but I want to be able to see into it, and then so you guys can see into it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to use regular glass, and we're going to go ahead and build this up for the walls on both sides. But on top of the pistons, we're going to go up by 7. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you're going to do this on all of the pistons. And then on the side, we're going to go up and match this height. So we're going to go 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're just going to bring that all the way up. And we're going to skip this bit. And then we're going to put another 3 here. And then we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then just go all the way up to the top of that as well. And then do that all the way around the farm. And this is what your farm should look like so far, so that all the glass is the exact same height all the way around. Now we are going to extend this up a little bit on the outside, and we're going to go up by 1, and then just go ahead and make an entire ring around the outside of the farm. So the outside ones will go ahead and be technically 8 above the pistons, and then the interior walls for the inner chambers will go ahead and be 7 up from the piston itself. And that's what it should look like now. It's a little bit hard to see because of the glass, but hopefully you guys can go ahead and see that. Now what we need to do is go ahead and fill in both the chambers. Now, if you guys don't want to use water sources and water buckets, that's completely fine. You'll have to get a couple water buckets and then bring them into the farm, and you might have to kind of come in the farm and then leave all the time. If you have access to a bunch of ice, then that would work out really good for this portion. But all you need to do is fill in 3 water sources there, and then pretty much every other one, and then this would create a full water source on the very bottom. And then we're going to do that on the second one as well. And then make sure that we put in our water source there, and then that should flood all of this. And we're going to go all the way up to the top right here on both sides. We're just going to go ahead and fill all of this in with water. And then make sure that we have the sides with water. And so I would be using ice if I was building this in survival. It just makes it a lot easier, as long as you have access to ice anyway. If you don't have access to a lot of ice, then this is pretty much your only option. It just does take a little bit of time to fill this all in. And then I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and pause this and go ahead and fill in the second chamber. Now that you have flooded both of your chambers, we need to make sure that we don't destroy our redstone in the center, and this is where our collection tube is going to be. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, and 4 down. And then I recommend using glass or your packed ice or blue ice, but you don't necessarily have to. You just have to have 1. And you're going to come all the way over and then leave 1 empty space for now. We're going to grab our chests and also our hoppers. And we're going to go ahead and put a double chest right there. And then we're actually going to have 3 of them total for our chamber. If you want to make more than this, you definitely can. But just because of the height that we made, I can only put it down to the chest down to here. If you want to have it sent somewhere else, you can definitely go ahead and do that. So then what we're going to do is grab our hoppers, get on top of the ice here, and then make sure that we put a hopper into each of the chests, and then put glass on top of the chests so that none of the water goes ahead and escapes. Grab our water source again. We're also going to need a slab and also a sign. It does not matter what slab or what kind of sign you use. Place your water source there, and wherever it stops, you're going to grab a slab and make sure that it is a top slab like that. Grab your sign, put it on the block behind, or basically where your water is still flowing right there. Grab another water source or a piece of ice and make sure that you put it on the block above it. Do not click on the sign or do not click on the slab, otherwise you will waterlog both of those and you might have to start over and redo this area. So make sure that you put it there, and then it should flow all the way down to the hopper. Now what you're going to do is grab your fence gates, which I don't currently have them in my inventory. And it does not matter which fence gate you use. We're just going to go ahead and put them all right here. And then you're just going to hold shift and place those all the way across. And then make sure that you go ahead and open them. And that will allow things to actually flow through them. Now what you can do is go ahead and grab your water bucket or your water sources again. And then just go ahead and place your buckets of water like that, and you're going to see that it's actually not going to flow. Now there is a way to actually get this to work, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and put a source or a temporary block on each of these. Now that's going to flood all the way across, and then you can actually go ahead and break all of these, and you'll have to redo this as a water source. So it's a little bit of a trick to get this to actually work. So just make sure that you do fill this in. Otherwise, if we actually throw like this piece of dirt here, or I'll just throw like the repeater here, what's going to happen is it will only get flow up to about here, and then it should stop because this isn't a water source. So we need to make sure that once we flood this entire area, that should go back, and then we should start to see that rise up a little bit. And that means that we actually have a full water source. And there we go. And now we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. Now, if you want to, you can put your temporary blocks down first. And then put your water buckets in. That would work as well. And we want fill all of those in. And then make sure that we go ahead and put water sources along the back there. And then we can break all of the temporary blocks again and then fill those in with our water sources. You could also use kelp for it as well, but just make sure that you don't go up too high with it. So we're going to go ahead and do a water source there, there, and there, and then just do it along the back side. And then that should cause all of it to be a water source. Now we're going to grab glow lichen, and we're going to put this on the inside one. And this will prevent the interior kelp from growing up too far, because what would happen is if we didn't put this on here, the kelp would actually come up to this side and then actually grow up in here, and then all of this would now be a water source. And that means anything that comes up on that side wouldn't be able to be pushed to the middle to be collected. So make sure that you put glow lichen on each of these interior walls. It took me a long time to find the glow lichen to get this to work. I tried to like all the other blocks like chains and you name it. I probably tried it, but this allows that to still be a waterlogged source, but it allows things to pass through it, which is absolutely fantastic. And that's what makes this specific farm 100% lossless, which is great. Now, after that, what we're going to do is we're going to put in a roof, at least on the middle section. If you want to put an entire roof on it, you can, and then that would make sure that it's 100% lossless as well. But you definitely need to make sure that you cover the soul sand down below. So this should be right above the soul sand. And again, if you want to make all of it covered up once you put the kelp in, you can go ahead and do that. So grab your kelp, and we're going to go into the farm. And we're going to put that on. It doesn't matter what your bottom block is. It could be dirt. It could be sand. Kelp can pretty much be placed on anything, but just not on the soul sand. Because then if you put it here, that would not allow the soul sand to push it up. So make sure that you don't place it on soul sand. And then we're going to go ahead and do that on this side. And there we go. Perfect. Now all of your kelp is done. And like I said, if you want to put an entire roof on it, you can go ahead and do that, or at least on the chambers. Like I said, that would make this 100% lossless if you covered at least the chambers. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And then that way you guys can see that one side is 100% lossless at this point in time. So what we need to do now is make sure that our water signals can actually get down to the redstone line. So there's two different ways that you guys can do this. You can use all observers if you want to, or you can use like the redstone blocks and sticky piston combinations in order to actually get this to do this. So you're going to put these at different heights. So you're going to have 8 total around the farm. If you want to use just observers, you can put some on this side as well, but just think the outside ones are going to trigger the entire farm, and anything on this side or the other side, it will only trigger that specific side. So make sure that you put them, I recommend them on this side here, and if you want to, you can kind of spread them around, but don't put them up too high. So we're going to replace the glass real quickly. I'm going to put one there and one there. And then I'll put one here, and then one here. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of show you different options that you can do. So at this point, your observers and your pistons might not necessarily match up to what I have listed for what your schematics should be used for. So just be aware of that. So I'll put one here, and I'll put one there. No, I don't want it that high, so let's go ahead and replace that. I'll put this one at the same height, and we'll put this one here and this one there. So it kind of gives us a few different options, and I'm going to show you guys both ways to do this. Now, with the ones that are higher, like this, if you're wanting to use sticky pistons with it, this is what you need to do. You need to put a solid block behind it, and then put your sticky piston here, and then go ahead and put a couple blocks of either honey or slime blocks, and then go ahead and put a block of redstone right there. If you want to just use observers, you would come out an additional one and then come down to that point right there. Now, I do recommend that if you guys have it on the 2 ticks, that you use your observers. If you want to use your pistons like this, then you're going to make sure that it's no tick delay. So it really just kind of depends on which way you're doing it. If you want to use both, then make sure that you're setting your entire farm to just no delay on the repeaters at all. The only reason that you leave it on the 2 tick setting for the repeater is if you guys are only using all observers along the entire farm. And I'll show you guys kind of different ways that you can do this. So like this one, this is down a little bit for this is at a little bit higher. So what you're going to need to do is put a block there. Again, you're going to put a solid block and then a sticky piston there with a couple slime blocks and then a redstone block. Now the bottom ones should all be the same height, regardless if you're using blocks of redstone or the observers, because it needs to be able to hit that redstone signal at the bottom. And then over here, if you have one that's close enough, like this one as an example, you could actually get away with a sticky piston with a yeah, that will trigger that. So that one doesn't even need a redstone block, and then that one doesn't even need a block. But just to make it simple and easier for everybody, I would just recommend doing observers. But there's a couple different ways that you guys prefer, because I know observers can be a little bit expensive. So there you go. That's kind of what it would look like. So it just kind of looks like piping kind of sticking out of it. I'm just going to replace those. But if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I know it is a little bit different, but if you guys want to save on redstone and also on getting slime blocks, then just use observers. There we go. Now it looks like piping. Now all I need to do is go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and speed this up very, very quickly. And you're going to see that this is now just going to go ahead and work like a champ. Now, obviously, I'm running this at 1,000 for the random tick, so it's actually very, very quickly. But you can see that it is collecting all of it. And this side is 100% lossless. We haven't lost any on this side yet, but you did see that we actually had a couple. There we go. So what I mean is this side is actually going to be lossless. So if you want to make sure that it is completely lossless, go ahead and cover just the chamber, the water chamber, the 3 by the 15 area down below like this. And now it is 100% lossless. And there we go, guys. That is everything. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys have any questions regarding any of the redstone or anything that I went over in today's video, make sure that you leave a comment down below and I will do my best to answer, or somebody else in the community will definitely help you guys out. If you guys enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe down below. It would help me out a lot and is greatly appreciated. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.